have early word. Apparently, he said he doesn't know when that report is due.
All right. Let's pause. He's talking about ISIS in Syria.
Congratulations. I think it's about time.
How do you feel, sir?
Thank you, Charles.
Mr. President, Pat Shanahan's going to be your Secretary of Defense now.
All right, so what we were just watching there as he was boarding Marine One, so we've seen him go to Ohio this week as well. As he was headed there, he showed that map that you just saw, and the red signifies what was pre-existing in ISIS just a day ago. And what he has been saying, hold on, he's still shouting.
I will be nominating Mr. Moore for the Fed. You know who I'm talking about. So he's going to be great on the Fed.
Sarah, great job. Don't listen to him.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I hesitate to speak up. Because I don't want to step on the words of the President of the United States. And as he hears questions shouted, obviously he wants to talk. He was talking about, as you heard him say, Mr. Moore, someone that he's looking at for the Fed. That's been one of the news breaks today. And
Stephen Moore, who people watch Fox News know him very well.
So that's true, because he was with the Trump campaign, but he's also been a guest on our air many times. But what I was previously saying, that he gave to a cheering crowd of reporters, which seemed odd to me, because they got the map that he held up on his way to Ohio. But what that means, and that's what we can see from this perspective. So if he actually handed it to somebody who wasn't a reporter, we can't see that. All we can see is the back of the gaggle there. But that's what it looked like. So that map showed, Morgan, where ISIS had been. And the president said within a day or so, you'll see the red go away. He had talked about another region in Syria where it was just littered with red, and that was ISIS, and what we have been able to accomplish to defeat them in those areas.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders popped by the press cabin this is Per, the pool reporter on Air Force One. Sarah Huckabee Sanders saying the following. She announced that the territorial ISIS caliphate has been 100% eliminated in Syria. She directed reporters to the Department of Defense for additional information, and she showed reporters a map of Syria, possibly the map that President Trump had.
Yeah. And we know that that was the one that he had held up, so he fully anticipated that 100% into the ISIS caliphate would happen.
I can't underscore how important this is, not only for the president, but for our men and women on the ground and our allies who have been fighting this fight against ISIS. What you're seeing is the ground, the actual physical territorial caliphate that ISIS put together. You have seen that completely destroyed and dismantled. Now there's a lot of remaining questions. What happens? The Institute for the Study of War has put out a report that many of these ISIS fighters have gone back to Iraq. Now remember, ISIS comes from something called AQI, Al-Qaeda in Iraq. It's a group that grew from up there. So there's many historical strongholds in Iraq. So they are defeated in Syria. It's important, but I think the transition that the president is putting to focus our troops more in Iraq, less in Syria, but still having those 200 at least troops in Al-Tanaf is important. But you have to continue to watch this group. It will fester. It will grow. What we saw happen in 2010 when President Obama pulled out completely is that this group came back and festered and turned into ISIS. Today is incredibly significant. It's a really important accomplishment for many of my friends in the military who have fought there alongside our allies and the brave Kurdish fighters. It's a very monumental day.
All right. I would add that tomorrow marks the 16th anniversary of the start to our presence as such in Iraq.